Hey everyone, Ryan Claxton here. Today I'm going to be breaking down the drum parts to 96 Quite Bitter Beings by CKY. So let's get into it. Now if you were like me and grew up watching shows like Jackass, Viva La Bam, CKY, or played video games like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, you've definitely heard this track. The track opens with its main riff that repeats throughout the song, and it's one that's so catchy that even someone like myself who can't sing a melody to save a life can totally hum along to. Okay, I gotta cut that out. What's interesting about this riff and a lot of parts in the song is that the 16th notes are slightly swung, meaning that there's a little bit more bounce to it as opposed to a very straight and boxy feel. This main groove is a 2-bar phrase that gets repeated 4 times in the beginning. Now beat 1 of the first bar is just kick and crash together, followed by kick and open hi-hat together on the end of 1, followed by the snare and a crash played together on beat 2. From the end of 2 on, you're just playing straight 8th notes on the ride, and underneath that, you're playing kick and snare, going kick, snare, kick, snare, snare, kick, snare. I know that seems like some video game cheat code, up, down, left, right, whatever, but let me just show you what I mean. The second bar of this phrase is pretty straightforward. It's basically just a 4 on the floor disco beat. So the kicks, 4 on the floor means that all the downbeats have kicks underneath, so 1, 2, 3, 4. You got snare on 2 and 4, and then the upbeats, all the ands, are played by slicing or opening the hi-hats. The only extra thing you have to add here is a crash at the beginning with the first kick. Now let's hear how it sounds together at full tempo. At the end of the 4th phrase, he plays 4 and on the snare and floor tom together. This leads us into the verse. Now for the verse, I'm not going to go through every detail of each bar because there's a lot of little nuances as well as varying kick patterns. So if you want that kind of detail, I would recommend getting the transcription I did, which you can find in the description box below. As well, you can check out my cover of it. But to put it simply, he's basically just playing 8th notes on the hi-hats, he's heavily accenting the downbeats, and then the kick and snare are following along with what the guitarist is doing. A couple of little things that he likes to do throughout the verse is open the hi-hats on the and of 4. He also likes to add 2 16th notes on and after his initial notes on beats 1 or 3 on the kick. So that would sound like 1 and or 3 and But like I said, he also goes along with the guitar player, and sometimes he adds a kick on the and of 3 or sometimes the and of 4. The verse is 12 bars long and then kicks back into that main riff, or in other words, I guess you could call it the chorus, for 8 bars, or in other words, 4 phrases. At the end of those 4 phrases, going back into the second verse, what happens is he plays 3 16th note triplets followed by an 8th note on the snare drum, while the kick is underneath it on beat 4. Next is another 12-bar verse with a couple little fills throughout it, like the 16th note triplet fill that's on the rack tom in the 4th bar. After those 12 bars, we kick into what can be considered the bridge section, which is in 3/4 time. And to put it simply, don't be worried about 3/4 time, literally just count to 3 instead of 4. The first 4 bars of the bridge, you're playing quarter notes on the crash. The snare is every 3rd 16th note starting on the E, so that would sound like 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and right, which makes a cool little polyrhythm there. And then the kick is on the 1, the and of 1, followed by the and of 2 and the and of 3. With the next 4 bars, that and of 1 drops out on the kick. Keep in mind, there are a couple little ghost notes throughout there, so try and pick those out when you're listening to the song. The next section of the bridge is played in 4/4, and it's actually straight, not swung. This is one of the first few times it happens. So we got quarter notes happening on the snare, 8th notes happening on the hi-hats. They're slightly open, so they're kind of sloshy. The kick is doing a couple different variations. We got the and of 3, followed by the and of 4. Reverse of that, so the and of 3 followed by the and of 4. And then lastly, and of 3 followed by the E and the of 4. So this all happens over 8 bars. There's a couple little flam fills that are pretty cool in here. And then it ends with the last bar being 1 and, followed by 2, 3, 4, which are all open hi-hats, and then of 4, just a little ghost note on the snare drum before it kicks back into that 3/4 section. Now that we're back into the 3/4 section again, the first 4 bars are the exact same, but the next 4 bars we're now playing 1/8 notes on the crash instead of quarter notes, and then there's one little nuance per bar of these last 4 bars. So each one of them are totally different. Check out what I mean. We now have to repeat the straight section of the bridge again for another 8 bars. There's some different flam fill variations here that are pretty cool, and the kick is a little more obvious this time in going 3 and 4 and followed by 3 and 4 E and So those go back and forth between the fills. One of the cool fills that are in here is a flam on the snare drum on beat 3, followed by and 4 E on the rack tom, and then the and of 4 is on the floor tom. Lastly, it goes back into the main riff to end the song, only this time it's 16 bars total, and every 4 bars something else changes. It starts with the first 4 bars being the exact same as any other time we've played it, but the next 4 bars, he now takes out the crash that's on 2 and just goes straight to the ride instead, followed by taking out the crash that goes into the disco beat, and instead of that, he just plays a close hi-hat note, then his open hi-hats on the upbeats. The next 4 bars starts each phrase out with crash, then ride instead of hi-hats, then closed hi-hats, and he's playing that where the ride once was for the rest of the bar. He also drops out a kick on the and of 3. Now in the last 4 bars, the phrase starts out with the kick and crash, followed by just a kick on the and, so no ride, no hi-hat, no nothing, and then he plays the rest of the bar. Now, in the last 2 bars of the entire song, it goes like this. There you have it, 96 Quite Bitter Beings by CKY. Now, this is the first time I've broke down a song to this extent on YouTube, so I'd really love to know your thoughts. What are some things that you liked and didn't like? I'm always looking to improve to give you guys, the viewer, more value. Now, as always, thank you very much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you dig it, and subscribe if you haven't. Till next time. Go! Today I'm going to be breaking down the drum parts to CKY's 96 Quite Bitter Beings. 96 Quite Bitter Beings, 96 Quite Bitter Beings, 96 Quite Bitter Beings. Okay. This is without a doubt CK's Y's. And then beat 2 is the snare and the crash together. And those obviously are together. The only extra thing you have to add here is there's a kick under the see, I said kick that time, I noticed. He has 4 triplet and played on the kick, that's the snare. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a. Right, so the E, 2, and a.